Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the April 30th, 2019 meeting of the Glendale City Council. May we have roll call, please?
Council members Agajanian.
Present.
DEVINE.
Here.
GHARPETIAN.
Here.
Sinanian.
Here.
Mayor NAJARIAN.
Here. Councilmember Garpetian, would you please lead us in the flag salute?
Yes, please join me in flag salute and repeat with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for this evening's invocation. The late Coretta Scott King, wife of the Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King, made great contributions to the struggle for equality in our nation. As a civil rights leader, her and her husband's work have served as a beacon to guide our nation through difficult periods when we see tolerance and acceptance challenged and impugned. She once wrote that, quote, "The greatness of a community is most accurately measured by the compassionate actions of its members." This statement is not only true, but foundational to so many religious beliefs and ideologies. So as we gather tonight to deliberate, debate, and discuss the issues that come before this council, let us pray and remember foremost that by which we will be measured, both today and in the future. Let us pray that we are granted the wisdom to make the decisions that will be for the benefit of all our stakeholders, so may we live out the best versions of ourselves. And as always, as we meet here tonight, we ask that our men and women who bravely serve in our nation's armed forces be kept safe from harm, and pray for peace this evening and always. Amen.
Amen.
Mr. Clerk, may we have your report?
Mayor, the agenda for the April 30th, 2019 regular meeting of the Glendale City Council was posted on Thursday, April 25th, 2019 on the bulletin board at City Hall.
Thank you. And what's the next item?
Presentation on appointments. 3A is agenda preview for the meetings of Tuesday, May 7th, 2019.
Ms. Beers.
Mr. Golanian.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of City Council. For May 7, 2019, the special meeting of the Glendale City Council commencing at 9 a.m. Interim Director of Finance regarding Budget Study Session Number 2. For the Glendale Housing Authority, there are no agendized item for May 7th. However, we have another special meeting of the Glendale City Council in the afternoon commencing at 3 p.m. A report from Director of Community Development regarding wireless telecommunications facility rooftop lease agreement between the City of Glendale and Crown Castle USA Incorporated. That evening, Glendale City Council meeting commencing at 6 p.m. There are a number of consent agenda items, starting with Director of Public Works regarding approval of the final map of tract number 74298 for a 12-unit condominium subdivision at 330 to 334 Salem Street. Followed by Director of Public Works regarding recertification of city sewer system management plan as required by the state of California. Another report from Director of Public Works regarding consulting services to evaluate and develop a fleet services strategic plan. Director of Community Service and Parks regarding acceptance of adult education block grant funds from the Glendale Community College to the Verdugo Workforce Development Board and approval of this funding recommendations to the Glendale Library Arts and Culture, Glendale Youth Alliance, and Jesse Home. Followed by Director of Community Service and Parks regarding acceptance of summer training and employment program for students funds from the California Department of Rehabilitation and California's Employment Training Panel to the Verdugo Workforce Development Board, and approval of this funding recommendation to the Glendale Youth Alliance and Glendale Community College Professional Development Center. Another report from Director of Community Service and Parks regarding recommendations to approve the Verdugo Workforce Development Board's local workforce development plan modification and Los Angeles Basin Regional Planning Unit's workforce development plan modification for fiscal year 2019-20. General Manager of Glendale Water and Power regarding adoption of specification number 3816 for asbestos and hazardous material abatement at Grayson Power Plant. General Manager of Glendale Water and Power regarding authorization to enter into and execute a service agreement with ACES Power Marketing through SCAPA for real-time energy trading, scheduling, and settlement activities. And finally, on the consent items, General Manager of Glendale Water and Power regarding amendment to the Montrose Air Quality Services, L.L.C. professional services agreement to provide continuous monitoring systems, quality assurance measurements, compliance emission testing, and consulting services. Under adoption of ordinances, an ordinance to establish the Adams Square Business Improvement District and making certain findings related thereto, followed by an ordinance amending section 4.10.050, chapter 30.35, and sections 30.40.0110 to 30.40.040 related to establishment of a citywide inclusionary housing requirement and adding Chapter 4.11 related to establishment of affordable housing commercial development impact fee. Under action items, City Clerk regarding 2020 elections update and outreach/education. General Manager of Glendale Water and Power regarding amendment of city's contract numbers C106037 and C106038 with N. Harris Computer Corporation to provide continued application technical support and maintenance and professional services for Glendale Water and Power's municipal customer information and billing system for a total amount not to exceed $2,110,895, followed by a Director of Public Works regarding award of contract to Western Audio Visual, Inc. for the design and construction of the Glendale Television Channel 6 Technology, GTV6, and Space Planning Project. Under hearings, Director of Community Development regarding public hearing on appeal of Design Review Board's approval of DRB case number 17230112, located at 1633 Victory Boulevard. And that concludes my report, Mr. Mayor. Whew.
I hope the meeting goes faster than that agenda list. My goodness. Okay. Under presentations and appointments, next I'm going to present some special guests who are not on the agenda, but I'm happy to announce that with us today are the Allende or Allende family, and if you are at all familiar with Mexican stars and singers and actors and heartthrobs, we have the head of the family, the patriarch, Fernando Allende, here today with his wife, Marie, and his great son, who's following in his footsteps, Aiden. Won't you please step up, please? I'm very happy to have you here, Fernando. You have been in show business from a very young age, where you started as an actor.
Almost 50 years now.
Almost 50 years?
Yeah. In the business.
In the business. You are a great singer. I've seen you perform. I learned you are a great painter. You're a producer. And you're the head of a great family that is starring on the show seen on Bravo Network, Mexican Dynasties. And so I'm very happy to give you a mayor's commendation presented to the Allende family, or Allende family, in recognition of your outstanding promotion of our Latino communities through your participation on the show Mexican Dynasties on the Bravo Network. Thank you for sharing the values and traditions of the Latino culture through your life and art. On behalf of the city of Glendale, we all wish you continued success. And we have a little clip. Let's go to the clip, and I'll let you say a few words.
Sure, thank you.
This season on Mexican Dynasties. What do I do? Tell me, tell me, tell me, tell me. Ah!
It was just me, the stage. Sounded good?
Yeah.
Like God. What the hell is that? A worm.
La 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 la. That was beautiful. It's our dog, our Chihuahua. His name is Nacho. Well, actually Ignacio, but we call him Nacho, and he's a singing dog. He sings so
he's in the business too.
Yeah, he's in the business. He has his band,
Is it clipped down, Hardy?
Yes, it
Okay, thank you. And please, Fernando, tell us a little bit about your show, your family, and we're very happy to have you here with us at the City of Glendale.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor, dear friend, and council members of the City of Glendale. It's an honor for me to be here tonight. I'm so grateful and so honored. You know, as we mentioned before, in the next couple of years, I'll be half a century in the industry, and I truly still believe that there's the best still to come, or that this is just the beginning for better days. I do want to mention that commitment, help to the community are two situations that truly unite what we do as a family. My wife, my son, my other son, his wife. And it relates a lot to what you do also. I mean, this is a city that embraces differences, that embraces different cultures. As performers, as show business individuals, we also pursue that. We pursue unification and not segregation. And I believe that what really has made this show so important around the world, because actually I'm very proud to mention to you and to all of you that this is a very historical moment in showbiz, because this is the very first time in history that a show produced in Hollywood, produced by American money, Bravo TV, is going to 52 countries around the world, but it is the first time in history that we go prime time, and also that the whole cast is Latino, Hispanic, or Latinx, like we use the word nowadays, right? So we pursue unification, and you do too. We pursue family unity, and I know that you do too. I know that you pursue not segregation and unification, and that is exactly what we're doing with this show. Yes, the frame of the show is Mexico City, but whatever happens in the show happens to most families on the planet, and I believe that that's the reason why we're so successful around the world. Anyway, I repeat that it's a historical moment because this has never ever happened in history, and I believe that it was about time for it to happen, because I mean, I know that this city unifies and receives people from all walks of life and different cultures. And but for example, if we speak about our people in Latin American people, let's say Mexican people in the United States, I think it's important for all of us to know that legally we're 54 million people living in America from Mexican extraction. I think it's 54 million people. It's a very considerable amount of people, amount of souls, amount of hearts. And if you consider that those 54 million people represent 70 billion annually in the economy of our country, of this magnificent country of dreams becoming a reality. I want to close saying exactly that. You know, this being here in front of all of you, and in front of all of you, it's a dream that becomes a reality. Thank you to the City of Glendale. Thank you to all of you for supporting what we're doing, and thank you for recognizing that it is a matter of group effort, which is exactly what you're doing. This is a group effort to grow higher, better, and promote the fact that regardless of the fact that we come from different countries and different cultures, and we might speak different languages, there's only one roof that covers all of us, and it's the heavens, and there's only one home that embraces all of us, which is planet Earth. All of that makes us one family. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
I would like to invite my colleagues to join me in the presentation. we're a little bit showbiz too up here, I want you to know. So let's have a photo op with the Allende family.
Thank you. Sorry to give you my back. Okay.
Paula's already made a boyfriend. We won't let you see that. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. And tell us when the show is.
Oh, yeah, yes, indeed. In fact, gracias. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. We did a 30, 60, 90 day production in Mexico. We were there for 3 months. We came up with 10 hours for international television. And unfortunately, tonight is the last episode of the 10. It'll be a 1 hour and a half episode, suggested by the viewers. So we're really, really very, very proud. Please check it out. But if you don't catch it tonight, Bravo has been able to put all this in different platforms. So you can see it anywhere, anytime. So just check out Mexican Dynasties. This is my wife, Maria, my youngest son, Adan. He is also releasing today his first video on a wonderful song he wrote, Don't Let Me Go. So check Adan Allende. And you know, this is the dynasty. Nothing would make me happier when I was young and thought, you know, I'm going to have kids. I always dreamt about the fact that it would be wonderful to have a legacy, to have my sons to continue my career. And I guess that's the dream of most parents. I mean, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't work. But in this case, it worked. So I'm very happy to show and share with you part of the dynasty. And thank you so much to the city.
Oh. We're going to leave you in a very good company. We have to continue to pursue our gratefulness to the success of the show. So we're going to leave you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Come back to Glendale anytime, and good luck with everything.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Thank you very much for that bit of fun, everyone. Next item, please.
Would be mayor commendation for Cycle 14 student ambassadors.
Mr. Kasakian.
Mr. Mayor and City Council, this is Cycle 14. We have now been doing this for, I think, close to, if not slightly over 7 years. Sometimes we keep our recruits for a little bit longer than what they signed up for their tour of duty. This is a program that we initiated to give our young future leaders in the community, students in high school, a window into what happens here at City Hall, and to act as guides and ushers to the members of the public who may be coming here for the first time, and for others who are council regulars, and allow them an opportunity, both our ambassadors and the public, to engage one another, explain how city council meetings work, at what point they can address you on various issues. And this has been a great group in particular because we had in student ambassador speak a full house or a royal flush. Every high school was represented, which is hasn't always been the case. Sometimes it's been hard to recruit from some of the high schools. So with that, I would like to introduce and ask them to come up to the podium so you may recognize them for their dedication and community service. They do this every Tuesday night. They don't get paid. It's a volunteer service, and they do it because they're civically minded. They have that spirit of public service, and hopefully one day they'll be sitting where I am or you are. So, or any of our staff. So with that, I'd like to introduce Andrew Hong from Crescenta Valley High School. Tatiana Kozemian, Theodore Siaset, Susanna Gazarian, Maria Cero Gandero from Hoover High School. Eileen Solomonian and Ani Sahakian from Clark Magnet High School. And rounding it out from my alma mater, Glendale High School, Nicole Herrera.
Congratulations, young men and women. In recognition of your participation in the City Hall Student Ambassador Program, I commend your dedication to helping the public during our City Council meetings. Your guidance has benefited residents throughout the community. On behalf of the City of Glendale, I wish you continued success on all of your future endeavors. And will my colleagues please help me pass the certificates?
There's also a video. And then that's fine. Where's the video? Downstairs for those. Where's the video? The video is fire service day.
So let's minimize that. How do I increase the size on this on one page?
You want to turn around?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. Thank you. Next item, please.
Next item would be proclamation designating May 11, 2019 as Fire Service Day.
And I know we have members of our excellent Class 1 Fire Department. How are you? Please introduce yourselves.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, I'm firefighter paramedic Greg Blakian, and this is firefighter Andy Galvin.
Well, I'm here to give you a proclamation. It goes as follows. Whereas the International Association of Fire Chiefs has designated the second Saturday in May as Fire Service Day, a day to focus attention on the variety of services and skills offered by the many fire departments of the United States and Canada. And whereas today's firefighters are technically trained and skilled professional public servants who perform many public services in addition to the suppression of fire, such as emergency medical response, building inspections, and public fire safety education. And whereas the public can gain valuable life-saving knowledge by participating in fire education activities provided annually by the fire departments and enjoy a day of doing fun activities with the family. Now therefore I, R.N. NAJARIAN, Mayor of Glendale, proclaim May 11th, 2019 as Fire Service Day and call upon the people of Glendale to participate in the open house activities offered at Glendale Fire Station 21 and to take full advantage of the information provided by fire department personnel to enhance their safety and the safety of their families in the event of a fire or other emergency. Let's hear it for our fire. Mr. Abidjan, would you do the honors, please?
818-548-4814 or visit glendalefire.org. Hope to see you there.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, maybe next time we can use the appropriate fire chief for the PSA.
Chief, come on up, please, and tell us what we have awaiting us on May 11th.
Oops.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Yes, May 11th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. It'll be a fun-filled day. We last year, if you remember, the weather was a little bit not great, so our turnout was not spectacular. But this year, we're scheduled for a nice, warm day. I'm calling it now. So we invite everybody to come out and enjoy. There'll be shows, demonstrations. We will have our new ladder truck there demonstrating vehicle extrication. We'll have fire engines. Our police partners will be there with us with the K9 unit and the SWAT vehicle. And we look forward to the community coming out and spending the day with us.
Thank you.
Free breakfast from 9 to noon.
Free breakfast. Plenty of exhibitions, Jaws of Life.
Yes.
You put out fires, kids can handle the hose, and all sorts of good stuff.
Ladder climbing demonstrations, the whole 9 yards, yes.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Next item, Ara.
Proclamation designating the month of May 2019 as Building and Safety Month.
How are you, Mr. Bear?
Hello, Mayor, Honorable City Council. I want to thank you for proclaiming May Building and Safety Month, honoring our profession, and honoring all the hardworking, dedicated professionals you have working for the City of Glendale.
Well, thank you. And my proclamation reads that whereas it is well documented that each year thousands of lives have been saved and millions of dollars of property damage have been averted through the enactment of building codes, and whereas the City of Glendale has been adopting building codes for the well-being of our community since 1913 to protect our citizens from the effects of earthquakes, windstorms, fires, floods, and more recently to ensure accessibility, energy and resource conservation to create a sustainable community, and whereas no code, no confidence, the theme for Building Safety Month 2019 encourages all citizens to recognize the importance of safe and resilient construction, fire prevention, disaster mitigation, and new technologies in the construction industry. And now, therefore, I, Ara Najarian, Mayor of Glendale, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2019 as Building and Safety Month, so that we can recognize the importance of building codes in our community and dedicated professionals of our building and safety team who are working daily to keep our community safe. Congratulations.
Thank you.
No code, no confidence. Huh? That's kind of catchy.
Yes, and I'd also like to welcome everyone to come out to our event on May 22nd. It'll be in the plaza from 11:30 to 1:30, and yes, we will have food too, Fire Department.
Oh, okay.
Is there additional food for building and safety celebration?
Absolutely.
All right, thank you. Next item, please.
Next would be consent items. The following are routine and may be acted upon by one motion. Any member of council or the audience requesting separate consideration may do so by making such request before motion is proposed. 4A, minutes of the regular city council meeting of April 2nd, 2019 and April 9th, 2019.
Thank you. 4I will be pulled. Is there a motion for the balance?
I'll move the balance of the consent calendar.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Agajanian?
Yes.
Devine?
Yes.
Garpetian?
Yes.
Sinanian?
Yes.
Mayor Najarian?
Yes. 4I, please.
City Clerk and City Attorney regarding City Council regular meeting schedules for the remainder of the 2018-2019 fiscal year and for the 2019-2020 fiscal year. One, motion modifying the City Council's regular meeting schedule for the remainder of the 2018 and 19 fiscal year. Two, motion establishing the City Council's regular meeting schedule for the 2019-2020 fiscal year. and canceling specified council meetings.
Mr. Garvettian.
Yes, a couple of questions. How do we usually vote on this item?
This item comes to the City Council by way of an agenda item, and it's typically on consent. And the calendar is set on an annual basis by way of the new mayor in consultation with the city manager and city attorney.
So I remember that last year was kind of on the budget time, that, or the year before that we voted on this. But we're canceling, basically we're going to 3 meetings a month?
Yes,
Is that the goal?
Yes, sir. So in consultation with the mayor, if I can give a brief report on this, with consultation with Mayor NAJARIAN and looking at the calendar for the upcoming year, and knowing the amount of time that it takes for staff to prepare for each Tuesday meetings, and having experience with cancellation of meetings after a long weekend, the suggestion to the mayor was it would be nice for us to have 3 meetings a month, to give staff the ability to get off of the treadmill that we're on a weekly basis in preparing for council meetings, and making sure at the same time that we're not overly burdening the city council by way of canceling a meeting and or keeping council meetings light, and trying to balance it as much as we possibly can throughout the year. Understanding that some council meetings may take longer just based on the subject matter that is before the city council. Our suggestion, and the mayor agreed, was to have 3 meetings a month. In the fiscal year of 1920, there are certain months, and there are a number of them, that have 5 Tuesdays in that month. For those months that have the 5 Tuesdays, we still maintained the 3 meetings a month and canceled 2 of the meetings. Again, though, at the end of the day, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, Councilmember GHARPETIAN, it is your calendar, and if you so choose to have meetings 3 times a month or 4 times a month, any special meetings that are necessary, we as staff are here and prepared to provide that information. But in terms of operational needs, and for us to be able to work at a good, effective pace, our suggestion would be to try out the 3 meetings a month.
And if I could just add, Mr. Mayor, members of council, compared to what the schedule had been in the past few years, in addition, as Ms. Beers noted, in addition to the Tuesday after Monday holiday, removing those dates for the upcoming fiscal year, by my count, there are 3 additional dates within the whole fiscal year that are being canceled in addition to what we did in the past year. And given the inordinate number of 5 Tuesday months this upcoming fiscal year, we tried to provide that balance.
So you're canceling 3 more than last year, and 1, 2, 3 of them are 5 Tuesday months.
Yes.
One is the July of this year. I went through this really quickly because I didn't know this goes on consent. I think a little bit of a heads up would be a good thing for council members to know that we're going to 3 months. And next thing you know, you go to two meetings a month, and you kind of get disconnected from the city, if you will. I know that staff is under pressure. I understand that, and I appreciate that. But I think if you want to, this is a kind of a dramatic change, in my opinion. Like March of next year, I know that March 3rd is an election day, then we have March 17th.
It's a GUSD spring break day, spring break.
Spring break. So July of this year, we have July 16th canceled, November 12th is canceled.
Which is Veterans Day.
Veterans Day, I understand. Veterans Day is on a Thursday. But nonetheless, it's, so we have only 3 meetings?
By my
More
count,
cancellation than last year?
Mr. Garcia's count,
by
it's
my
3.
count, yes, July 16th, October 15th, and March 3rd.
The other piece of it is, as you may be reconciling some of the dates, the Tuesdays that we may not have meetings, truly, we can utilize some of those Tuesdays, not all of them, for briefings on the larger topic items that may be coming to council at a later date. Some of those Tuesdays can be utilized effectively, so the ability to be able to provide information to the city council, it'll just give us more options in terms of those dates as well. But again, we're here to take any feedback that you may have.
I don't know. everyone knows the way I feel about canceling meetings because we got a lot of big items coming, and the more meetings you cancel, the more stuff will get piled up on us, and you don't have time at the end of the night. You end up being here until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And for the record, the Tuesdays that the Mondays are off, if Monday is a holiday, we cancel the Tuesdays as well. I don't, again, I'm only one vote, I'm just voicing my opinion. The package, our council package is prepared on Fridays, and I don't know why do we cancel the Tuesdays, but nonetheless, I just wanted to know what the process is, because I thought that we bring this up and we vote on it, but I hope you're not going to two meetings a month, because that would be a disaster. I mean, 3 meetings
Nobody said we're going to 2
well,
meetings.
Well, this is how it starts. You go to 3
That's
without, I mean.
That's a logical fallacy of the slippery slope. Next, you're going to say we're going to 1 meeting a month. Next, 1 meeting every 2 months. That's not the case. It's a balance between doing the people's business, but also letting our staff have an opportunity to catch up and work on the important work that otherwise they would be spending their time getting ready for the actual mechanics of getting a meeting together. But I appreciate your concerns. We want to make sure that all the business that has to be taken care of is taken care of, but balanced with the opportunity to give staff a little bit of a greater chance to prepare, as well as for us to get special opportunities for briefings and getting caught up on certain subjects.
And can somebody tell me what's our schedule for June of this, I mean, this coming June?
Sure. Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, Councilmember GHARPETIAN, for the remainder of the fiscal year for 18-19, in addition to the cancellation that we have on May 28th, which is for Memorial Weekend, staff, in consultation with the mayor, is proposing the cancellation of June 25th.
June 25th?
Correct.
Okay. Is there a reason for it that we're canceling it, or what's the reason for it? Just to have three meetings this month?
For consistency purposes, we included, well, May was already in place, but we included the June for consistency purposes.
When is what date is in May?
The 28th of May, which is the Tuesday after Memorial Weekend.
All right.
I'll move item 4I.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Council members Agajanian?
Yes.
Devine?
Yes.
Garpetian?
No.
Sinanian?
Yes.
Mayor Najarian.
Yes. Next item, please.
Next item on the agenda is City Council and staff comments.
Let me start from my left. Mr. Garpetian?
Oh, me? Yeah, I'm on a roll. What can I say? I have a couple of things to mention. One is the 2012 MS4 permit. This is for our city, our newly appointed or hired Public Works Director and the staff. The 2012 MS4 permit was challenged in court, and the decision was to void that permit process. That put cities in a very compromising position to comply with requirements that there was no funding for it. So the court ruled to prevent. This was against the water board, state water board, and the city of Gardena and city of Duarte were the plaintiffs, if you will, and they won in court. And it says the ruling also prevents the regional board or any other water board in the state from requiring strict compliance with numeric TMD L.S. and water quality standards. So this is for us to know. Maybe we can take a look at it and tell us later on, whenever you have time, because I know we are under a lot of pressure, but whenever there's time to tell us what does this mean for the city, and how would it help us to save some money, if you will, because we don't have to comply with these strict requirements. Also, we were talking about parking, and we had studies about parking and everything else in Glendale and Montrose. I think one of the things we need to do is to let people know that we have a 90-minute free parking. And some of the signs that we have on the streets, directional signs that indicates where the public parking is, and public parking is, to say it's 90-minute free. So maybe that would encourage people to park in the structures instead of the street parking. The other one is we voted on a couple of items in last month. One was the DSP, Downtown Specific Plan, and one of the conditions that I voted for this, for that the revision of the DSP was to have a study when we bring this item back in 1 year, to have, including in that study, to have the study for density, if there is a density limit within the Downtown Specific Plan, how would that work? And after the vote was taken, this question was raised by the city manager again, and there was no second for it, so to incorporate that in part of the thing. I want to ask my colleagues again if there is a way that you would support part of that study to be, when the study comes back in 1 year, part of it to be studying the density limit in downtown as well. If there is a density in downtown, how would that work? Because the revised ordinance is going to come back in 1 year. They're going to bring a report as to how is it working. Within that report, they can bring back a study within that to be a density limit study as well. So.
But I know we had this discussion, and we talked about ways in which to safeguard density from becoming too burdensome. And we were told that setting a numerical density limit might not have the desired effect. And we were advised, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Lansing, to steer towards setting limits for the number of requirements for the number of mix of bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, rather than setting, 100 units per acre where it may be all filled with 1 bedroom or singles studio units. So,
well, the study would not change the unit mix. It would not change the 2 bedrooms and 3 bedrooms as 40% if you have all the incentives. But nevertheless, if that's the case, if there's no support for it, it's fine.
It's just study, I suppose.
Microphone, please.
Oh. If the point is to study it and bring it back, I will second it.
That will be part of the study that is coming back anyways. It's not a special study or a separate thing.
So what are you requesting us to support?
I'm requesting to support, because that was the only condition that I voted for that ordinance, to have within that 1 year, within that 1 year study, when the study was coming back, part of that study to be the, what do they call it, dwelling unit per acre as well. So, and after we took a vote, that was taken out. So if I knew that wasn't going to be part of it, I would have voted against it, let me put it that way. So
who took it out? Wait, it was taken out after we voted?
What he's saying is that he asked for, Councilman Garpetian asked for a study on density limits in the DSP area, and it wasn't made part of the final motion. So I think all he's asking is when we bring that report back that CDD is going to bring back, looking at how it's performing. One of the issues looking at that density issue again.
Do you need council direction for that?
We just need a second, which we got.
We got a second, and we could include that in the 1 year.
Okay.
And since I'm on a roll tonight, on some of these important issues, the voting order that we have here, it goes alphabetically. Many cities, especially on ordinances and on other important issues, they have a different way of, they scramble the names and then you vote on it, instead of being alphabetically every time. So I think we need to look into. I want to get a second to look into that as well.
I will wholeheartedly second it, because I am the first one all the time. From the day I came in, I am the very first one, so I would rather see that this will rotate.
Is that, let me ask the city attorney, is that not a prerogative of the chair? As to how
I would
that
have to look at it. I mean, with the second, I can bring back a report, or even just send the council report on how, because there are,
We're gonna pick straws each time we do a vote.
Councilman, there's different ways to do it. You can have a machine that records it, so everybody has to vote. You can have lots, you can draw lots at the beginning of every meeting.
How does the Supreme Court do it?
The Supreme Court?
Seniority, right?
Yeah, I think so, but they don't vote in public.
So the youngest go first.
Right, but there are a lot of, I mean, Councilman Garpetti is right, there are a lot of councils that do it differently, where you have to vote, you know,
He
just like.
loses in that case, too.
By no means the Supreme Court, Mr. Mayor.
And I think we may have looked at that before. I can see if.
I remember.
See if we can find it. We'll prepare something and provide the information to council.
They're important people. Attorneys, they're very important people.
Thank you, Mr.
Actually, they're
Mayor.
judges, but, okay, anything
That's
else?
all I have for tonight.
Okay. Mr. Agajanian,
Nothing to say.
Ms. Devine.
Nope. Too many things went on these past week or so. Everything was fantastic, and I thank everyone who was involved in the genocide commemorations. Every one of them was exceptional, and that goes for the city and outside organizations, and I just thank everyone for their hard work on the commemoration celebrations.
On behalf of the co-chair,
Yes.
Mr. Sinanian, and myself, I'd like to call out Dan Bell, who spent a lot of time on our April 24th, 18th annual genocide commemoration. And I will not add to to those remarks. We have a presentation by NIKKI Haley, Assistant Library
Correct.
Director.
Good evening, Mayor Najarian, members of City Council, and City staff. My name is NIKKI Winslow. I'm the Assistant Director.
Who's NIKKI Haley?
Oh, she was
We should ask her.
Oh, did I remind him of her? Thank you.
Oh, that's right, the ambassador to the UN. Sorry.
So
Sorry.
thank you for this opportunity to highlight another great library event. I'm here tonight to proudly promote the Healthy Minds Fair. This is our second annual fair this coming Saturday, May 4th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. in recognition of Mental Health Month. Library Arts and Culture is bringing together community organizations that provide services to individuals and families affected by mental illness. Some of these organizations include Ascensia, Glendale Community College, Dignity Health, several city departments, including Community Services and Parks, the Police Department, Verdugo Job Center, and one of our really strong alliances on this fair is the National Alliance on Mental Illness, also known as NAMI. There will be self-care activities, including painting exercises. I'm excited about the terrarium building, as well as some workshops we'll be offering, a couple including how not to take things personally, as well as 10 easy ways to manage your stress. I'd like to give a big thank you to our library supervisor, Tiffany Barrios, who has spearheaded all of our mental health initiatives, including both of these fairs. I'd be happy to answer any questions and hope I'll see all of you there.
Thank you very much.
We're all going to be at the 10 Easy Ways to Manage Your Stress. See us all there.
Are there any other staff comments? Let's go to the next item, please.
Next item is a 3-minute general public comment, unless there's, community event announcements, followed by 3-minute general public comments.
Thank you. I have a card from Hasmik Burushian.
Good evening, Mayor Ara NAJARIAN, councilman members, and staff. My name is Yasmin Beers, and I'm the chairperson of the United Human Rights Council. The UHRC is a committee of the Armenian Youth Federation. By means of action on a grassroots level, the UHRC works towards exposing and correcting human rights violations of governments worldwide and aims to foster dialogue and collaboration between peoples who share this common vision. This Saturday, May 4th at 2 p.m., the UHRC is working with Black Lives Matter LA, American Indian Movement SoCal, Mi Gente, and Swana Alliance to host Struggle in Solidarity Coming Together for Racial Justice. It will be taking place at the Glendale Youth Center on Chestnut Street next to the St. Mary's Armenian Apostolic Church. To create bridges between communities, we are organizing Struggle in Solidarity Coming Together for Racial Justice, a panel and discussion event where we'll be creating meaningful conversations between multiple communities. Our purpose is to understand the similar and different experiences that these communities encounter by bringing attention to 3 areas that need to be voiced: race and identity, racism in America, and coming to America. The event will involve a discussion segment where attendees reflect on the community narratives, explore and discuss next steps for intergroup partnerships. The panel speakers will involve activists and leaders of the Armenian, Native American, Latinx, and African American communities. Struggle in Solidarity Coming Together for Racial Justice will be a space of togetherness where these groups can connect with each other. There will be an established unifying energy where these communities can begin to organize together against any means of racial injustice. Ultimately, we hope to elevate awareness on each community's story and inspire strides towards operating in unison against the unjust. We want members of our city to be at this event because we need to have these conversations together, all of us. I'd like to invite the members of the Glendale City Council to this important event. I would also like to invite citizens of the city of Glendale. If you guys have any questions about the event, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm extremely grateful, and I hope to see you all there this Saturday at 2 p.m. Glendale Youth Center, right next to the Armenian Church. Thank you. Any questions? Or?
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Diane Forte.
Hi, good evening, Mayor, council members, and staff. I'm Diane Forte. I'm the Government Relations Manager for Southern California Edison. We service a few hundred of the customers. I'm here tonight on the last day of Earth Month. Wanted to share what we're doing and what communities can do to help the state reach environmental goals. We have by 2030 right now our purchase of electricity is 50% clean. By 2030, it'll be 80% carbon free. And the biggest sector is transportation that has greenhouse gas emissions and also air quality emissions. So to help the state meet its goal on transportation, we feel it needs to be 7 million electric vehicles on the road by 2030. Edison has some rebates for customers right now who purchase an EV, either or lease or old or new, and also for the charging stations. We will be at Contract Cities. I believe Glendale will be there also on May 17th to the 19th to talk a little bit about the future of transportation, and happy to share best practices with the city. And I also just wanted to put a name and a face together if you ever had any issues with anything that we're doing. I have met with staff a few times, and I appreciate your time this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And next, in the 3-minute general public comment section, I'd like to invite Jim DeCarli and Amanda Gao.
Good evening, City Council and Mayor. I'm an injury and neuroepidemiologist, and I develop behavioral interventions in public health to reduce risk of exposure to trauma. And my concern this evening is the proposed hotel on Victory that's going to be adjacent to Benjamin Franklin Elementary School. Now, before graduating from USC, I studied child trafficking, and since then I've been part of child adolescent suicide death review teams and studied extensively adult manifestations of child abuse and neglect and long-term exposure to abuse. My intent in being here tonight is to provide you as City Council with not only awareness, but also with some resources that we could provide you so you can make informed decisions when you're looking at this proposal. Now, having a hotel next to an elementary school, not to mention adjacent to an interstate highway, is a significant risk factor for child trafficking. Human trafficking is modern-day slavery. It's a $150 billion industry worldwide, as well as here in America. Every year, over 200,000 children are trafficked. This means by the time we started this meeting at 6 o'clock, by the time we end, over 100 children would have been trafficked in the United States. Now, what does this have to do with a proposed hotel? So now I have Amanda here who's going to answer that question. She's with the Guardian Group to prevent sex trafficking.
Hi, my name is Amanda Gao. I run a national agency that works on teaching communities and hotel groups and law enforcement how to recognize and respond to human trafficking. I've done a lot of research in this field. So in what we were talking about with the trafficking, so to clarify, when he said there's 200,000 victims of human trafficking each year, I want to make sure that that is noted, that that's domestic and here in the United States. Of that, 80% are women and children, and we do know that the most commonly used place for trafficking to occur is a hotel. So about 80% of this crime takes place on hotels, and it's not just, you know, a seedy motel on the side of the street. It happens at every hotel chain across the country. We have a lot of data and statistics to show that it actually is mid to high range hotels that this crime takes place, and as the adults, it is our responsibility to do everything we can to prevent child abuse and to use the information that we have available to make informed decisions on how we can ensure that our young people are not victims of this horrible crime. So happy to answer more questions if you have them down the road.
Thank you. And please, we'd like to make note of other city councils who have followed a trend in blocking such proposals, like in Texas and Washington from the Marriott Hotel, who had been close to schools because of that child trafficking risk. You do have my contact information. You have my business card, so please give me a call for any questions. We can provide you with any resources as well. Unless you have any other questions, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Elizabeth Manasserian and Angela Berberian.
Hello, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, city staff. My name is Elizabeth Manasserian with Rotary Club of Glendale, Noon. And with me here, I have Angela Berberian, who's one of our newest members of our club. We're here today to announce one of the most exciting events of the year, which is a car show. It's going to happen on June 2nd, and we're here to invite all of you to come and attend. It's free for public. We're making an announcement and inviting all the public to come. We're inviting you to come as well. Thank you to some of the council members and Mr. Mayor who have already accepted our invitations. We are going to have an award given by the council members, given by the mayor and the police chief. We're going to have food. We're going to have almost about 200 classic and different kinds of cars. It's going to be on the green at Verdugo Park, June 2nd, so please be there. We would love to see all of you and the members of the public. And we have games, we have face painting, we have food, hamburger. Dad's Club is going to do a phenomenal job providing drinks. I won't say what kind of drinks, but wonderful drinks. So anyway, so Angela, is there anything you want to add, or?
We're just very excited that this year this is a family-friendly event, and we're going to have games, face painting, ice cream for breakfast for the kids. So please come and invite anybody you know who would love to spend time with their kids Sunday, June 2nd.
And our beneficiaries are going to be Glendale Police Foundation, the Youth and Children Programs, and Glendale Unified School District. So the more the merrier. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Always fun.
Next speaker is Bert Culver.
Hello, members of council. My name is Bert Culver. I live in Montrose. You guys may or may not know, Los Angeles was planning on building 4 new gas power plants that they've now scrubbed, and they're going to go with batteries and renewables. And Sunrun has put together a proposal for LA, which I'm sure they would do for Glendale if asked, to do a 295 megawatt solar and battery installation for $295 million, which would wipe out the need for Grayson and cost about, what, 1/3 of the price? I'll give this over there when I'm done here. And I just want to read a little bit out of The Uninhabitable Earth. It's a new book out, and it lays out the scientific basis of climate change and how the carbon dioxide coming out of Grayson will affect the world. It is worse, much worse than you think. The slowness of climate change is a fairy tale, perhaps as pernicious as the one that says it isn't happening at all, and comes to us bundled with several others in an anthology of comforting delusions, that global warming is an Arctic saga unfolding remotely, that it's strictly a matter of sea levels and coastlines, not an enveloping crisis sparing no place and leaving no life undeformed, that it is a crisis of the natural world, not the human one, that those two are distinct, and that we live today somehow outside or beyond, or at the very least defended against nature, not inescapably within and literally overwhelmed by it. With wealth, that wealth can be a shield against the ravages of warming, that the burning of fossil fuels is the price of continued economic growth, that growth and the technology it produces will allow us to engineer our way out of the environmental disaster, that there is any analog to the scale or scope of this threat in the long span of human history, and that might give us confidence in staring it down. None of this is true. But let's begin with the speed of change. The Earth has experienced 5 mass extinctions before the one we're living through now, each so complete a wiping of the fossil record that it functioned as an evolutionary reset. The planet's phylogenetic tree first expanding, then collapsing at intervals like a lung. 86% of all species dead 450 million years ago. 7 million years later, 75%. 125 million years later, 96%. 50 million later, 80%. 135 million years after that, 75% again. Unless you're a teenager, you probably read in high school textbooks that these extinctions were caused by asteroids. In fact, all but the one that killed the dinosaurs involved climate change produced by greenhouse gas. The most notorious was 250 million years ago. It began when carbon dioxide warmed the planet by 5 degrees Celsius. Accelerated when that warming triggered the release of methane, another greenhouse gas, and ended with all but a sliver of life on Earth dead. We are currently adding carbon to the atmosphere at a considerably faster rate. By most estimates, at least 10 times faster. The rate is 100 times faster than at any point in human history before the beginning of industrialization. And there is already, right now, fully a third more carbon in the atmosphere than at any point in the last 800,000 years, perhaps as long as 15 million years. There were no humans then. The oceans were more than 100 feet higher. Thank you.
Thank you. Marisol Espinoza.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council, City staff. I am Marisol Espinoza. I am the Public Affairs Manager for SoCalGas, and it's a pleasure to be here tonight. I am actually here to talk a little bit about the vision that SoCalGas recently announced earlier this month. As you know, SoCalGas distributes natural gas to the city of Glendale, allowing residents to heat homes, take hot showers, cook meals, and dry clothes economically and safely. Businesses and residents also rely on natural gas to run their business. So that's your restaurants and your hotels utilize natural gas to run their businesses. And I am also here to raise awareness and let the residents of Glendale know that there are proposals in California that are looking at mandating electrification of your home and buildings in an effort to reduce emissions from the building industry. And what that means is that there are active efforts that are looking at replacing your natural gas appliances, your stove, your water heater, your space heating, and to replace them with electric appliances. Now, I want to be clear, I am not against electric appliances, and we are not against electric appliances. However, we believe that customers should have a choice in the types of appliances that they have in their home, and they currently do. The cost for replacing natural gas appliances, furnace, stove, water heater, dryer, and more would be estimated to cost an average of $7,200 per homeowner, and the cost of electricity would be about $388 per year more than natural gas at today's rates. And as I mentioned earlier, SoCalGas announced its vision on April 2nd to basically utilize renewable natural gas as part of our portfolio. And renewable natural gas is gas that is coming from organic sources, wastewater, dairies, and landfills. And we can capture some of this gas that now goes into the atmosphere, clean it up, and inject it into our pipelines. And part of our vision is that we are committing to replacing 5% of our portfolio to include renewable natural gas by 2020. And by 2030, we will replace 20% of our portfolio with renewable natural gas. We have also filed an application with the California Public Utilities Commission to allow customers who choose to opt in and have a portion of their gas be renewable, they can choose to do so. So that we have filed that application, and it's currently with the CPUC. And I just wanted to let the council know and let the residents know that it is possible to be balanced, affordable, and to have reliable energy. But I did want to let the public know that there are real efforts to eliminate your natural gas appliances, and thank you.
Thank you. Next is Tony Passarella.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, staff, viewing public. Tony Passarella, 32-year resident of the city of Glendale. Got a couple slides there. Anybody we all seen those? I emailed y'all these pictures already. Does anybody recognize where that is? It's directly in front of the Glendale Federal Credit Union in the middle of the sidewalk. And I can tell you, the ladies inside the credit union weren't very happy. And I would be very, very shocked if somebody didn't get an email or a phone call that's sitting up here. That's how unhappy these people were. So this is where it's headed. This isn't even supposed to be in the city. These things should be picked up and impounded. This is a spin dockless electric scooter. You know, we got the Bird, and we got the Lime, and we got the Spin, and they're showing up here, and they're not supposed to be here. What if somebody would trip over that trying to get into the credit union? A senior citizen, perhaps. Somebody disabled, perhaps, and get badly injured. I mean, aren't we putting these neon blinking crosswalks up and down? I was on Glendale Avenue the other day. I counted 6 of these neon crosswalks. Why are they there? For public safety. You got the banners. You got the speed radar feedback signs. Even in obscure places like Cumberland Road and Highland, I saw a couple of these speed radar signs. Why? For public safety. Councilmember Devine, didn't you run your campaign on public safety? Didn't you?
Well, I think we're all interested.
Yeah, all of you, exactly, all you did. So this is where we're headed, City Manager Beers. You're running a city, and it's a little counterproductive, don't you think, to put all of this stuff protecting the citizens and the visitors of Glendale, and then putting these dockless scooters that the joyriders, and I already showed you that figure. I showed you the photos of the injuries, people getting very, very seriously injured with hardware in their arms and in their legs, very serious head injuries, and you want to put these on narrow streets where I saw 5 or 6 so far, people riding these in Glendale. Everyone was on the sidewalk. How are you going to patrol that? How are you going to regulate that? These guys don't care. You laid it right in the middle of the sidewalk. You think they're going to care if they're riding on the sidewalk, putting their own self in danger, and the pedestrians, the disabled, and the children? It's ridiculous. It's a nonsensical idea.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't have any other cards, so we will close this portion of public comment. Are there cards? Did someone say they had given a card? No, I don't have any.
It's not under a 3-minute portion. That's only limited.
So we have another portion at the end where you can speak up to 5 minutes. And hopefully the end won't be too far away this evening. Let's move to the next item, please.
Mr. Mayor and Council, 7, adoption of ordinances. 7A is ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of lease agreements relating to the refunding of outstanding variable rate demand certificates of participation 2000 Police Building Project. This was introduced on April 16, 2019 by Councilmember Devine.
Ms. Devine?
I'll move the item.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Zagajanian?
Present.
Devine?
I'm sorry, yes.
Take that as a yes. Devine?
Yes.
Garpetian? Yes. Sinanian? Yes. Mayor Najarian?
Yes. Next item.
8A is Chief of Police and Chief Information Officer regarding Police Department in-car video replacement. 8A1 is a resolution dispensing with competitive bidding and authorizing the purchasing administrator to negotiate and enter into agreements with Axon Corporation for purchase of various camera equipment and related software maintenance, parts, and off-site services for a period of 5 years in an amount not to exceed $1,700,000.
Ms. Beers.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council will go directly to Police Chief Carl Povolitis.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of Council, Carl Povolitis, Police Chief. We're here before you tonight to request funding to replace our in-car video system. As I'm sure you're aware, for a number of years we've used a combination of in-car video and digital audio recorders on officers' belts to record interactions with the public, such as traffic stops and investigative stops. The technology that we use for the in-car video we've had for 11 years. The technology is about 14 years old. It has truly reached its end of life. And in that intervening decade or so, the technology has really changed. What we have now is a single solution of a combination mobile digital computer terminal and in-car video system. These days, all those technologies have separated, and we've already changed out our in-car computer systems to a tablet-based system. However, what we've now got is an unsupported in-car video system that's kind of running on a patch. As I sometimes say, it's chewing gum, baling wire, and a little bit of tape to kind of keep it running with the new system. So we've gone through a process to look at replacing the in-car video. And in that process, just sort of as a natural outgrowth because of where technology has gone, we also examined the potential of the use of body-worn cameras as part of that. We invited 3 vendors to come in and actually do field testing with their equipment in our cars. We have our officers actually go out, use it, try it, and provide us feedback on the various systems. And so we're looking at things of how it mounts in the car, how easy it is to use, what the digital workflow evidence looks like, how easy it is to transmit evidence to the district attorney's office, how easy it is to share amongst law enforcement agencies, and then the ability to leverage future technology. We also spend some time talking to other law enforcement partners who have used various systems to get a sense of how these systems actually perform in day-to-day operations. After going through that entire process and doing that, we've determined that we believe Axon is the best solution for the Glendale Police Department based on the quality, data security, and the reliability of the system. And the reliability of the system and the usability of the system is of critical importance for us, because if you have video evidence and you're expected to have video evidence, the only thing I can think of worse of not having it is not having it when you really expect it to be there and work. So what we'd really like to do as we go forward, as I said, the system has changed, is to enter into a 5-year contract with Axon. It used to be we store our own data. Now everybody's going to a subscription model where the data is managed in the cloud. And so in that 5-year contract, what we're asking for is a 5-year contract to be able to negotiate with them not to exceed $1.7 million. I don't expect that we would spend that much. The idea is to initially and immediately replace the in-car video part of our system, but to allow us to have an option and lock in the pricing that if at some point we're ready to move toward body-worn cameras, that decision is made and the pricing is already locked in. And then we would pay the differential between that. Currently, with Axon, the first year for the in-car system would cost us a little over $366,000, and then an annual subscription of just under $121,000. And if we were to move to body-worn cameras, the first year would be the differential. So we'd add about another $120,000 in equipment, and then the subscription cost would go to $303,000 per year. And as I said, by locking this in for 5 years, it allows us to make those fixed pricing, but allows us to make the decision when it is appropriate to make a change in technology, because that change in technology is not particularly easy to do. As I said, there are some policy issues to work out. There's issues with an association. There's also the backroom issues of it's not the equipment that costs us, it's the ability to manage that data on the back end that is the most manpower intense. The other sort of upside, if you will, to going to on the subscription model and with Axon is during that 5-year period, we are entitled to refresh our hardware at one time during any time during that 5-year period. So we could literally wait to 4 years, 11 months and say, we want to change out all the hardware and put in brand new hardware, and that would be covered under this contract. So there is approximately, between two accounts, there's about $1.4 million already budgeted. The thought is there's more than enough to cover the initial year and the in-car video. Any additional, should we make a change into additional body-worn video equipment somewhere down the road, that would be budgeted through our annual budgeting and appropriation process. And so you'd have an opportunity to discuss that at that time. With that, we're respectfully requesting that you allow the purchasing administrator to negotiate and enter into a contract for a 5-year and not to exceed amount of $1.7 million with Axon to replace our in-car video systems. And with that, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Mr. Agajanian.
Yes, as we can see on this report, Axon is offering for, the price is $1,700,000. But you have another company, which is Utility, $1,460,000. Could you explain what's the difference between the two?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, Councilmember Agajanian, yes. There's a difference when we evaluated the systems in terms of quality, and we looked at both WatchGuard and Utility. And some of the issues come with that future leveraging of technology. What we found with Utility is that if you move to their body-worn camera system, the batteries don't last an entire shift. And so you're going to have to recharge it. They're lasting, I think the average is about 4 hours at this point. And so what we've looked at is a couple things. One is the quality, ease of use, and reliability of the equipment. And we're finding that when we did that comparison and checked those, Axon is providing better equipment. The second part is with Axon, it reduces the amount of what I'm going to call back-end work that we have to do. They have a method where we can electronically transmit our video data to the district attorney's office instead of bringing on hard copy. The other vendors, we would have to go make DVDs, hard copies, so it would require at least an additional body above and beyond whatever we would need for Axon in the back room to manage that data and provide discovery to the DA. So all in all, based on the quality of the equipment and sort of the total operational cost of the system and the way it would fit into our organization, we think Axon is a better fit for the Glendale Police Department.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. GHARPETIAN.
Yes, thank you. I think one other thing that we need to mention is usually we go with the lowest bid, but in this case, because this is such an important item with the police department, the fact that within the 5 years we can ask them to replace all of our software or equipment within the in-car video system, I think that will make a huge difference, because after 4 years you can come back and say, we have to upgrade everything that we have, and the others don't have that for the in-car video system.
That's correct. The others won't offer it for the in-car video. They will for a body-worn portion, and that's important because technology is changing rather rapidly. As I said, it's amazing how old 10-year-old technology looks and how, if you will, clunky it feels in a modern world and with newer officers.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions?
I'll move the item. Second.
I have no cards on this item. Roll call, please.
Council members Agajanian?
Yes.
Devine?
Yes.
GHARPETIAN?
Yes.
Sinanian?
Yes.
Mayor Najarian.
Yes. Next item.
B is Fire Chief request to authorize a public display of fireworks on July 4th, 2019 by the Oakmont Country Club. B1 is a motion authorizing the use of fireworks by the Oakmont Country Club for a public display on July 4th, 2019.
Ms. Beers?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, we will go directly to Chief LANZAS to give you a report.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. SILVIO, your fire chief. I'm here this evening to request a motion approving a fireworks display on July 4th for the Oakmont Country Club. The event is proposed to take place at approximately 9 p.m. and will last approximately 15 minutes. The display would be fired electronically by a licensed firework company on the golf course property located northeast of the Country Club clubhouse. All fireworks are Department of Transportation approved and meet all Title 19 requirements. Based on my professional experience and after personally visiting the site, reviewing the application, I feel the requested fireworks display by the Oakmont Country Club is safe and within all required laws and guidelines. Although the event will be private to the members of the Country Club, it will be visible by the surrounding area. It has been proven that organized displays by responsible groups help to reduce illegal fireworks on July 4th. I'm recommending approval of the display with the following conditions. Detailed plans be submitted with the final application. A pre-show walkthrough is coordinated with lead pyrotechnician staff and fire department staff. I, as the fire chief, reserve the right to cancel the fireworks show up to the last minute at my discretion in the event any of the following exist: a significant weather, such as red flag or windy conditions; fire activity in the area which dictates our response capability may be compromised or impacted; any condition of the fireworks permit that do not meet compliance exist; and any unusual or extreme fire department service demand that would impact our ability to provide safe and effective response should an emergency occur. Lastly, sufficient personnel should be provided to ensure a safety zone is maintained and unauthorized personnel are kept out of the area. This concludes my report. I have with me this evening Derek Patel, president of the Oakmont Country Club, as well as Terry Manning, one of the board members, and Craig Cliver, the general manager of the country club. We're all available for questions.
Are there any questions?
Move the item.
We have a motion and a second. Before we take...
Not me. Motion and a second.
Before we take roll, I would ask that a council member support me to see if we could assign this rather ministerial function of approving the fireworks displays to another method, perhaps, with the chief's and city manager's concurrence and advice, and not need to come before council to do this.
Yes.
I mean, it would just be, I mean, the chief had to write a report, and he could be out doing other things right now, and, you know, instead of testifying.
Nor do we need to be looking at this.
Nor do we. I mean, we take our advice from you on that. So if we could come back with that. But we do have the motion and the second. Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Agajanian?
Yes.
Devine?
Yes.
Garpetian?
Yes.
Sinanian?
Yes.
Mayor Najarian?
Yes. Thank you, Chief. Next item.
C is City Attorney regarding amendments to the city's municipal code pertaining to provisions governing boards and commissions, selections, process, qualifications, and limitations. C1 is introduction of ordinance amending chapters 2.36 and 2.62 of the Glendale Municipal Code 1995 relating to board and commissions.
Ms. Beers.
I'm going to go directly to our city attorney, Mr. Mike Garcia.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, members of council, on March 5th, the council heard a report regarding or pertaining to the provisions governing the boards and commissions, the selection process and qualifications limitations for those board members and commissions, and gave us direction on a couple points to amend the municipal code related to qualifications and the process for appointing commissioners. I'll just go through the main points. So one direction point, Mr. Mayor, members of council, was to prohibit the appointment of elected officials on the Glendale boards and commissions. It's actually already in the code, except for one commission, the Arts and Culture Commission, which was permitted to have an elected official. So the code has been the code is proposed to be amended to remove that reference. We also received direction to define a lobbyist and then to have a provision prohibiting the appointment of lobbyists from serving as a member of the board and commission, and following what some other cities have done in terms of defining lobbyists. A lobbyist means an individual who receives any compensation by being employed, retained, or under contract for the purpose of communicating with any elected official or any officer or employee of the city of Glendale for the purpose of influencing a legislative or administrative action. So it's a broad term. That's a definition used by many other jurisdictions for lobbyists. So this proposed code amendment would not permit the appointment of lobbyists as those that lobby the city to serve as a member of a board or commission. In addition, as is currently drafted, it would require any individual serving on a board or commission who has engaged in lobbying activity within the 12 months prior to the effective date of this ordinance to either cease lobbying activity or resign from their commission post. There may be additional direction. That's currently how it's drafted. The third decision point that we received direction on was a prohibition of individuals who have been convicted of certain crimes from serving on a border commission. And so what the proposal is to prohibit the appointment of individuals who have been convicted of a felony or a crime of moral turpitude. The crime of moral turpitude is something that's derived from the case law. It essentially involves crimes involving dishonesty, fraud, and those sorts of things. And then I would point out that in the errata sheet that we handed out to you, one of the changes was to specify that a conviction includes a verdict of guilty by a judge or jury, a plea of guilty, or a plea of nolo contendere or no contest. So it's a broad prohibition. And the fourth decision point that we received direction on March 5th was a cap on the number of terms that individuals can serve across the board in the aggregate on all boards and commissions. Currently, we have a three four-year terms cap that any individual can serve on any individual commission. And the direction that we received on March 5th was to amend the code to make that a cap that applied in the aggregate on all boards and commissions. Now, I'll tell you that the existing cap for the individual commissions has an exemption that allows anybody that's serving a third term to complete that term, and in addition complete a fourth term if they had previously served 2 terms, had taken at least 1 year off, and then served was currently serving that third term. We don't have that in the ordinance now, but if the council wants to provide that direction to have it apply similarly, we'll take that direction and bring that back for final adoption. Another option is just to allow anybody currently serving their third term to obviously complete that term, and we'll make that point clear too if that's the council direction. And the fifth decision point was we had a discussion about the staff that's assigned to each particular commission writing a memorandum to the council member who has an upcoming nomination outlining the roles and duties of the particular commission, as well as more specifically outlining if there's any particular expertise or qualification that's lacking on the particular committee pursuant to what the Glendale Municipal Code requires. Setting forth those outstanding permissions. So the example I've been using is the Design Review Board is required to have at least 1 licensed architect. So if there's a vacancy and that 1 licensed architect no longer exists on the Design Review Board, that staff liaison would write a memo to that nominating council member to inform him or her that we're currently missing that particular qualification. So those are the decision points that we got direction on from the last discussion in March, and that ordinance is before you with the errata that I handed out to you with some minor changes, as well as specifying what constitutes a conviction. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. Sorry.
Any questions? Do we have any cards? Someone like to move the motion?
It's ordinance for introduction.
Introduction? Sorry.
I have a question for clarification.
Yes, Mr. Garpetia.
On the lobbying aspect, you said they have to cease lobbying, or?
Councilmember Garpetia, correct. The way it's currently drafted, if there is an individual serving on a board or commission who has engaged in lobbying activities as that defined to how I just read it to you, within the 12-month period prior to the effective date of the ordinance, that person will have to either cease lobbying activities, and my suggestion would be to have a certification provided by any applicable commissioners, or step down from the commission. That's currently how it's drafted. The council has other options there. That wasn't, I know that there was a discussion about that lobbyists shouldn't be appointed to the commissions. That was the direction, and in addition, that should apply to anybody that's currently serving that's engaged in what's defined as lobbying under the ordinance, but there was no specific direction on what happens to those commissioners. So that's why we provided you the 2 options, but you're certainly free to provide other direction.
So are we are we saying which way we are going on that issue?
If you don't agree with the way I drafted it, yeah, I would like direction, so when we bring that back after it's been introduced. So if you want, for example, if you want that person to just have to resign, then you could do that as well.
Whoever is lobbyist should resign, in my opinion.
And you can put a timeline to that if the lobbying has
Correct.
occurred in the last 12 months.
Yeah.
That individual has to resign. So again, that's an option for the city council to give us feedback on.
Right. And the way it's worded now, they have to either cease lobbying or resign within 30 days of the effective date of this ordinance, which would be 30 days from next week.
Muyden?
So it's for introduction, so you'd only have to introduce it, if that's what you choose to do, and with additional direction to the city attorney at this point. So you prefer resignation
of lobbyists
with how much of a tail? A 12-month tail?
Yeah, no, immediately.
No, I mean.
It's not a tail.
Oh, you mean the front end?
It's the front end. So what you're saying is 12 months, how far back do they?
Right.
How far back? 12 months.
I think I'm okay with that. Okay with that. Variation.
And I have a question
Yes,
as
Ms.
well. On the issue of a person who is involved or participating in a lawsuit against the city, and the ordinance says that we'll maintain the current policy to analyze these situations on a case-by-case basis. Are you the one that analyzes that? Who analyzes those?
We put that in the report, and I think it would be incumbent upon a council member if he or she had a concern about a particular case to raise that with us, and then we could look at it to see if there's any conflict issues. We don't have a set formula, but it would certainly need to be brought to our attention if the council wants us to look at a particular situation.
So that's not a mandatory.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I just wanted to know who made that.
So you need a second for the introduction?
No, so it's been introduced. If there's anything else we want to throw in for
So we'll introduce it, and we'll bring back the change with the errata, and we'll bring back the change to the lobbying provision.
Okay, very good. That is our action. Next item, please.
Sorry, it was introduced by?
Councilman Agajanian.
Thank you. Next item under hearings is 9A, Director of Community Development, regarding disestablishment of the Adams Square Business Improvement District. 9A1 is introducing an ordinance disestablishing the Adams Square BID. Or
This is
BID.
a public hearing, so I will open the public hearing and go to Ms. Beers.
Yes, and I will go directly to Mr. LANZAS, Community Development Director.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, this is step, I think, 3 of 4 that's called out in the code to disestablish the Adams Square Business Improvement District. The interest in the district had waned over the years. We had suspended it for 7 years. There is no current interest, and it's staff's recommendation that it get formally disestablished. If there is interest in the future, somebody can bring that back and we can reform the district. So tonight is a public hearing to take any comment, and then there's an ordinance for introduction, and then we would be back next week for a final vote. If you have any questions, staff here from Economic Development is in the audience.
Thank you, Mr. LANZAS. Any questions for Ms. Guerin?
No question.
I have no cards, so what remains is an introduction.
I'll introduce the ordinance.
I second.
Introduction. Thank you. We have the introduction by Ms. DEVINE.
Thank you.
And I'll close the public hearing. Next item, please.
Next item is oral communications. Discussion is limited to items not a part of this agenda. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. Council may question or respond to the speaker, but there will be no debate or decision. The city manager may refer the matter to the appropriate department for investigation and report.
I have 3 cards. The first one is from Doug and Pauline Robinson.
Sorry, this is the first time I'm ever addressing. Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. I've been a resident of Glendale for 34 years, and it's been my home of residence. And I'm just very concerned about the encroachment upon the Riverside Rancho area. And now again, this proposed hotel on 1633 Victory Boulevard. And I remember my children used to walk to Benjamin Franklin Elementary, and I'm very concerned about all the traffic. I'm out of breath already. Bicyclists, equestrians, and children walking to school, and the already congested alleyways where residents on that block have to use the alley to access their garages. Thank you. So I just wanted to help preserve this little gold nugget in this, LA County, known as Riverside Rancho. And that's it.
Thank you
And
very
I'm so,
much.
this is the first time I'm ever public speaking. I'm so nervous.
You're doing just fine.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Next card is from Amy Marks. Amy will be followed by Philip Marks.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I just wanted to bring up the subject again of this hotel at 1633 Victory, some items that might be of concern to traffic engineers or the city planners about the Chevron gas station. It has an enclosure for their waste bins, and it's facing the alley, and it has very wide doors that open out onto the alley. And the hours of operation for the trash pickup for the Chevron is they do Wednesday and Saturday for trash pickup, and they pick up recyclables on Thursdays. But other large vehicles besides the trash trucks come to that Chevron frequently to meet its needs for maintenance and supplies. That station being on a corner has no street parking, and the sole vehicles allowed to park at that corner on Victory are Glendale's B-Line buses. So trucks that arrive use the alley for brief parking hiatuses. The hotel's entrance and exit as planned will interfere with Chevron's business, as truck drivers will be forced to park further away, but not before they are made to do one or more circuits around the neighborhood searching for parking. And they may ultimately end up somewhere in the alley that blocks neighbors from leaving or parking. The trucks themselves will then become a greater hazard, and the drivers themselves would be endangered by having to navigate that busy area on foot, if you can imagine them having to tote heavy tool bags and maneuvering hand trucks through that area. And I also wanted to mention the Glendale municipal vehicles, the trash trucks, frequently go through that alley. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, they're emptying the large bins that serve the businesses and apartments. Mondays, they pick up the large cast-offs such as furniture and mattresses. Tuesdays, the residents are served by getting their bins emptied of the green waste, recyclables, and the regular trash. So along with the trash trucks, that alley frequently hosts maintenance workers for the electrical grid and telephone poles. And their vehicles are also very large, possessing ladders and lifts. The hotel's planned exit and entrance will also make their parking situation tougher, and it will surely impair their ability to work in peace and safety. And one thing that was brought up at the Design Review Board was the compatibility and comparability of having the hotel in our neighborhood. And I think it's neither compatible nor comparable. The comparison was with the apartment that's right across the street from 1633 on Victory. That apartment building has only 21 apartments, and the hotel is proposing 64 rooms. That apartment has permanent residents, which are my neighbors, and the hotel would have a transient population. The pool at the apartment is self-contained, and the hotel would put out a pool that's facing a residential neighborhood with all its noise. The ground level parking at the apartment is, it's at the first story, and the hotel would build 2 levels of underground parking. The footprint of the hotel is easily double the footprint of the apartment. And the facade of the apartment is approximately 3,300 feet, and the facade of the hotel would be almost twice as much. The parking access for that apartment is exclusively used by very few people, and the alley for the hotel is already being used by residents and vendors and municipal vehicles. The apartment generates almost no noise, and like I said, a noisy pool deck at the hotel, that's just self-explanatory. That's a lot of noise right there. The primary activity at the apartment it's standard. It's family occupied by families, and it's just they have their normal resident hours, and the hotel will be active all year long. The apartment is run by a manager who really is receptive to the neighborhood needs and is a really great neighbor. And the hotel would be run and owned by an applicant who's maintained urban blight. He has a 2-year record of having done that. As soon as he bought the property, he did nothing to clean it up. And he's also had an opportunity to harass and sue his neighbors as well. The apartment, it doesn't pose much of a potential for drugs or gang presence or prostitution, but the hotel would. There'd be a real potential for attracting drug use at a hotel, drug dealers, gang members, and child predators. So there would be very high traffic at this hotel that's already going to be part of a corner that's already very busy with a gas station. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
I have a question, Mr. Mayor. As for a point of reference, and I haven't really looked at plans or anything, but is the entrance and exit of the hotel in the alley, or is it on Victory?
I believe it's in the alley, just, would be north of Victory. Okay. So it's on the corner of Victory and the alley. I think the entrance is right there.
Philip Marks.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, and staff. I've come to speak to you tonight about the proposed Victory Hotel project at 1633 Victory Boulevard. We will be meeting next week for a long-awaited appeal hearing in which we will offer City Council many good arguments for overturning the Design Review Board's decision to approve the project with conditions, and we will be asking that you send this development back for redesign. However, it must be said that an overwhelming majority of residents in the Rancho area and surrounding Glendale communities do not want this project at all in any form whatsoever. It represents many problems for the Rancho area, and I'll point a few tonight. Local school. Benjamin Franklin Elementary School refused to give an official statement, citing that they didn't want to overstep their authority and referred me to the district, even though the local school administrators, staff, on-site school workers, and parents are overwhelmingly against this hotel project. A Glendale Unified School District representative who wished to remain unnamed expressed dissatisfaction with the project, though only off record, citing they didn't want to create any conflict with the city. It's unfortunate that for one reason or another our school system is not willing to take an official stand for fear of disrupting a status quo. Why should they be afraid to speak up and defend the well-being of our school children who depend on us to be their voice and look out for their best interests? The school district official indicated to me that they do not like commercial hotels placed near schools and pointed out problems the Columbus Elementary School at Columbus and Durand has had with a local Days Inn virtually across the street. What problems, I asked? Was it parking or traffic, maybe noise? In fact, the problem expressed was with quote-unquote undesirables. They didn't specify what kind of undesirables they have had problems with, whether prostitutes, drug users, drug dealers, gang members, or other suspicious characters. But it's noteworthy to point out that the greatest concern in that case was the people that the hotel attracted. One concern the district specifically pointed out was that the hotel overlooks their schoolyard. In December of 2018, a KTLA news anchor was found unconscious in Days Inn and died due to a methamphetamine toxicity drug overdose. Other circumstances surrounded this tragic loss of a successful married man with a 9-year-old daughter, which I will not detail here. We've already made the mistake once of placing an undesirable establishment next to an elementary school. Let's not make it again. Glendale Rancho compatibility. The trend to urbanize the semi-rural Glendale Rancho is a tragic one. We call ourselves a jeweled city. And like a jewel, Glendale has its many facets. The Rancho is an especially unique facet in that it shares its territory with 2 other cities, Los Angeles and Burbank, both of whom show incredible respect for for their character and beauty of their parts of the rancho. Glendale, who possesses the smallest part of the rancho, must exercise caution to not throw it away to development that is either not compatible with the area or seeks to demolish it in favor of projects which are inconsistent. We have to preserve what we have while we have it. We used to have it is no claim to appreciate this unique facet of our jeweled city. Development should mean exactly that, and it should imply growth, not only in construction, but also in enhancing and embracing the unique quality of an area that cannot be retrieved after it's been lost to downtown-style urbanization. Even the name of our city is descriptive of the beauty that is the rancho, Glendale. Glen is a narrow and deep mountain valley, like Scotland or Ireland. Dale, an open valley, usually an area of low hills. Urbanization of a beautiful area such as the rancho for merely building's sake is inconsistent with the name of our city and the character of an area that attracts people because of its charm and connection to nature. Hotels, motels, liquor stores, and alleys are a bad combination, especially in an area that has had presence of drug usage, prostitution, and gang presence. The Glendale Rancho deserves a large version of Kenneth Village, not another San Fernando Road. The applicant calls this a luxury hotel, but the applicant is going for a quantity over quality profit-making project. Even if it has to be a hotel, we want a quality development. An alley driveway that compromises public safety and has no attractive buffer between the establishment and public space is hardly what we call quality. And I'll cut my comments off there. I had much more, but I see I don't precisely have the time. So I'll send them to you in the email. Thank you very much for hearing my concerns tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Marks. I do have one last card from Jan McCarthy. This will be the last card. Accept no further cards, Mr. Clerk.
Thank you.
Well, I squeezed in. Thank you all.
It's okay.
Jan McCarthy, Glendale Rancho resident. I'm here to object to the hotel, and I ask that you override the DRB ruling. I ask that you have them redesign their hotel so that their entrance comes off of Victory. I have a drawing here. This is traced from their plans. This is currently where their entrance and egress is. This is Victory down here, the chevron is here. You can see that it exits and enters right opposite the chevron trash enclosure area. If you look at the NoVictoryHotel.org website, you'll see pictures of a lot of congestion in this alley. It's only a 20-foot wide alley. If we ask you to send back the plans and redesign and widen this to local street width, that does not solve the problem. People would end up parking along here, blocking the view out of this hotel in and out. If we ask you to make them turn only right, they'll go down by the school and down towards Lake, so that increases all the traffic. We can't have them widen the alley up to the property line and then have it go back down to 20 feet wide here. So what I'm suggesting is that you ask them to redesign their plans and so that they enter off of Victory where there's an existing driveway apron. It might look something like this, where they would enter like this, they pull in, they still go underneath. They do lose 5 or 6 rooms on the first floor. It's an option. I'm not a hotel designer. I'm a resident concerned for my neighborhood, and I ask you to overturn the DRB ruling and approval of the plans as they were submitted. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. McCarthy.
Just for the record, without glasses, I couldn't see any of it. I couldn't see any of it, and I think some of my colleagues may be in the same boat. Okay, that's great. Thank you.
We will get your emails with those plans. I don't have any other cards. Is there any other business, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Mayor, if I can, I just wanted to make sure that the record is clear because I misspoke earlier on item 4I, the item that Councilmember GHARPETIAN took off of the consent calendar. I want to thank you for taking it off consent calendar, and I misspoke by saying that it was on consent calendar in previous years. I misspoke. That is inaccurate. It has been on the action calendar, so thank you for taking it off so we can have the discussion. I just want the record to be clear, and we had the discussion, so I want to make sure that's in place.
So I'm not getting old. My memory served me well.
No.
We're going to cancel another meeting for that, for that misstep. Is there
How
a
about next
motion?
week,
Is
Mr.
there a
Mayor?
motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We are adjourned.
Me